Let's try that again. Thanks, Jeff. This is Squares TV App Lab number 61. Hey, what can go wrong? So many things can go wrong. That's what we're talking about today. And even if after I've been doing it for ages, things can still go weird. This is Squares TV App Lab number 61, where I show you how to tie together your Mac, your iPhone, your iPad with all the apps I've been making and talking about via Squares TV. I see Jeff says, woo, hooray! This is a Zoom call on Office Hours Global, and I am streaming my camera to YouTube. And today, for the first time ever, LinkedIn. So if you're seeing me on LinkedIn, just feel free to say hello. Hopefully, I don't know, I think my eCam chat should be LinkedIn, but I suppose I should probably have the window open as well in case it's not. Someone, like, if anyone is on LinkedIn, just drop a message in chat so I can see if they show up on my screen. So yeah, I'm using a flaky development version of QCam today, but that's not what happened there. It's because I skipped around the cards. And I did not switch to the scene. Anyway, but if I freeze, then just give me a sec to reopen the app. And like, if there's any like audio crackles, I really am hoping to, like, I'm noticing a couple. I think it's when there's music and there's videos, and I think it's when there's an empty video buffer. So I think it's going to happen like after a video ends, there might be crackles. I think that's the pattern. I think I may have fixed that today, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm watching these back a bit more now than I was before. Hey, Justin, are you on? Oh, that's YouTube. All right. So, big news this week. New big update to QCam. So, the hard bit about this was I finally separated the main release of QCam from the beta version. So I was kind of like, started this big new design, but I was also sort of putting bug fixes alongside, but then the new design was not stable enough or intuitive enough or documented enough to really launch, and so a lot of these bugs were getting a bit backed up. So yesterday I scheduled an hour to do it, and it ended up taking me 5 hours just to sort of create two branches so that I can ship the beta on one channel. It's crackling gently. Okay, all right, well, hopefully it's tolerable. Maybe I think it gets better over time as well, the audio. But yeah, the things so now I'm able to put bug fixes on the main release without them being held up by stuff that isn't going to come out for a bit longer. What do we do if we're crackling? We cry. Maybe it's this music. Is that any better, crackling wise? Is that sort of like sorted it out or not? Let me know. Okay, but anyway, what's new? So the red tint on Intel Macs. We had a bit of a red tint going on. Luckily, I still had a Intel Mac in a cupboard that I was able to pull out and reproduce the bug, and I fixed that. That's now fixed, so you don't need to do the weird workaround anymore. Audio crashes shouldn't happen anymore. There was a crash where if you had a audio interface with lots of channels, such as this bad boy, then if you tried to use it as a headphone output, it would crash. That doesn't happen anymore. We have got the teleprompter window was a bit annoying. It kept like not reappearing when it was supposed to. I've fixed some stuff on that. The desktop, if you zoom on the desktop, it sort of remembers. Still crackling. Okay, well we deal. Maybe I can monitor just so I can hear what you're hearing. Let me just have a listen. Audio. Oh, I can't anymore because I cheaped out. Can I hear it if I monitor myself here? No. What's the easiest way for me to monitor myself and check this? Is it severe enough to be a big problem? Should I not have asked? You can switch aside 3D. So aside is when we come down here. We can now switch that onto the other side. No crackling on Zoom, says John. So that's interesting. So is it something at the eCam stage that has a problem? That's why I never notice any problems. Interesting. I'll start recording on eCam, see if I can spot that. Anyway, so you can switch the aside 3D to the other side now, so it can go on either side. And what else? Video ingestion. Yeah, so there was this thing with Blackmagic cameras, video files from Blackmagic cameras. Yeah, when you drag them in, they were weird that should be okay now. So that's all out now. You should have that. Let me know if there's any issues. I've got a bit more of a process for dealing with that now. The other big thing we've got that's going to be fun is Chroma key. Check it out. Okay, let me just that kind of got carried away. So look, I am on a green screen. So look, see how I'm sort of like in front of my desktop share, in front of my video share. So this is all being done in QCam, and if I just play through this video, you can see. So you click on the little cog down here. Let's get the laser pointer for a slightly more sober thing. So you click the laser pointer up here. That gives you the green screen option. Then once that's turned on, you see you've got lots of settings here now. So you can set what the key color is. You've got similarity, smoothness, spill reduction, opacity, contrast. So it really is going to let you kind of fine tune that chroma key, which was, yeah, so that was a lot of work yesterday actually. So I've had 3 different attempts at the chroma key, but I think this is pretty good. I think this is pretty solid. So I'm actually, yeah, so it's quite cool that I can come down and then I can be like over the top. Hello. So I like this. It's not something I'll necessarily want to do all the time, but I think there's something cool about, yeah, just being a bit more in front of the content. But I'll just let this video play on so you can sort of see me fiddling with it. You can put a background image in. So you see there, I've sort of set my background image. You can, yeah, you sort of do that. You can play about, I think I just do a load of things that I've just shown you live. But if you see here, look, we can sort of, adjust the similarity setting. We can, if we do this, we can sort of actually pick the green screen color and make sure it's the right one. And then when we turn it back on, it might be a bit more accurate. You can adjust the couple of things, spill, opacity, contrast, all that kind of thing. Yeah, and so yeah, it'll sort of stop the green kind of like bleeding into the edges and things like that. So that's that business. I see a question from Jeff. So shoot settings. So shoot settings are saved with the camera. So if you adjust the camera settings, zoom and pan, and zoom and color balance and stuff. Trouble is, if you're already using, I have made it remember them. It stores them and it restores them per camera, not per card or anything. So really, I'm kind of like waiting to hear from you if it's sort of kind of doing what you need, and if it's clashing with the presets stored on the device and how that's all feeling. So I'm kind of like relying on you a bit, Jeff, to just sort of let me know if it's actually meeting your needs, because it's one of those things where I'm like, what would you need to be able to do here? Like, it's not, I'm not quite like, I'm not quite using it that way, so it's hard for me to quite verify that I've done it properly. But yeah, that's Chroma key. So QCam Beta is the other news. I've got keyboard shortcuts to move the position of these now, which I'm really enjoying. QCam Beta. If you are part of, Jeff, it was a few weeks ago, and there's been a baby, and I'm just like, it's I will, like, let's talk about this, and just like, I think we need to just like talk it through and just validate what you're trying to achieve, so that I can make sure that it's actually useful to at least one person. So QCam Beta. So basically, beta is out. If you were part of the original beta, you can now download the beta version, right? Like you'll get your licenses going on. If you didn't buy it, then it's going to actually say, you've got to use the beta version now. So like now your beta licenses only work on the beta, not on the main one. Sorry, but I kind of had to sort of like make that change. But it does mean that you're going to get a link, and it's automatically going to send you through to the beta, and you're going to find that. If you weren't on the original beta, just get in touch with me, and I can add you. I've got that's easily done, and you can even just go and like download it. If you go to what is it, QCam-presenter.com/beta/download will give you the download. But yeah, just drop me a line and I can sort of add you into that, and you can see some of the new stuff. And what does that new stuff look like? Well, I'll show you this sort of feedbacky new. So here's the new kind of landing screen. Has the video preview in it. And we now have, so I'm just going to move this off because we're going to be getting a lot of, sorry, I'm showing the zoom window as well. Let me just minimize that for now. That is not a minimization that I was expecting. Okay, what zoom is being not what I want. So now we've got the dash, but I've also got this new video settings area down here, and that will be sort of chroma key settings, or it will be like your shoot camera settings. So that sort of sits there. That's also going to be available up here, so you can sort of get at your camera settings. There's some stuff I've been fiddling about with that you won't have, but this is all those chroma key settings and stuff. So sort of quick access to the video feed, and like we can sort of like pan and zoom on here, and like reset the zoom. So that's your sort of like, if you're just using the camera and you're not doing a presentation. However, if you are doing a presentation, let's just find one. It now looks like this. So you get a real-time preview, and we get this new sort of like, I think this is going to be, being like sort of being able to add these dynamically. So if you want some smaller text, you can put 3 in. This is some smaller text. We can have bullets still. We can have a footnote down the bottom. We can do various things. And as you see, we've got a little drop down up here, so you can add title, image, bullets, quotes, footnotes, subtitle, paragraph, background images, videos, second camera, screen share is all in there. But really the thing that I'm excited about is this this picker here. So like this is deceptively simple looking. So when you pick a layout, we're going to have a new sort of paradigm for this, which is, okay, a normal slide is just you and the teleprompter. So not only is this like blank card, but it's also like reinforcing the idea that you want to use a teleprompter really to get the most out of this. Then we've got like a simple slide with a title and icon. So I'm sort of laying out some of the ways in which I use it, and it's just going to create those placeholders for you, and you can sort of do things. We've got like title and bullets, a picture and title, 2 pictures, a picture with some bullets, and then something like a big photo, a background with a title, you can do that. And then we get into, okay, we've got background and bullets, and we got a movie, and then we've got the video background, so I'm actually like bundling in my Squares TV countdown. But then we've got like share a screen, share an app, share a second camera, like these things that you can do, but let's make it just one click to create the card. And that then I can sort of bundle up, if I want it, I'm going to do share a website. Look, I hate these. It's so obvious when pictures are generated with AI, isn't it? Like you can just tell. I went through so many prompts to try and get something that looked okay here, but I think I'm just going to draw them in vector art. But yeah, like the idea here is just sort of like wrap up all of the most common uses of it in these little kind of layouts, and then if it's, I think one of these is also going to be share a website, and then I can do the, share a website is going to prompt what website, and it's also going to sort of make sure it knows what your default browser is so that it can share the browser, and so that a lot more things, sort of common tasks are now sort of one click, and then this is sort of like, more of a, if we reset zoom, this is sort of more of the expert, like you can see what the titles are, you can see what the attachments are on the cards and kind of like remove them or replace them. Can't tell at that side. Can't. Okay, yeah, maybe not. But I don't know. I think I can still tell. But yeah, so we've got. So I think like the templates. I think by default because I think people are going to get confused by the sort of syntax being fussy. So I think this is going to be. I think it's just going to sort of let you edit this. in like normal mode, but I'll have an expert mode for people that are a bit more comfortable writing, markup, or you can add them sort of using this thing. So I think that is going to. And then I just, we've got a live preview. You just click on the card and you sort of always know where you are. You always know what you're doing. You always know what's going to happen. And then we've also got over here on the side, this isn't quite done yet. Like, this is still kind of half the old one. But I'm also working on like a document like design system thing, which I don't know if that necessarily comes into version. I thought I'd made it more reliable about resetting to the zoom I want, but we'll get there. Let me just up here save zoom for share. Let's try that. So at the moment we got like, I'm just sort of playing around with some different ideas for design system, for sort of like rendering styles and like picking different colors. I think you have to sort of do that. But then we've got like fonts. But then I think at some point I think the next 2.1, I'm just going to create some presets with like some photography and some font selections and just sort of like bundle those in. So then I think that's going to, it's just basically looking at Keynote and kind of like making this the Keynote of OBS kind of thing. And I think it's going to be it's going to be good. And also, the other thing is, it's also going to say, oh yeah, Video Pencil is connected. So, I can sort of click up here to change my pen selection, clear the drawing. So we've got all that stuff, and the keyboard shortcuts and the deep links are up there. Shoot, it's going to say scanning for shoot devices. And then if we have a phone, it's going to find it, and then that's going to be available up there, and you can sort of do all the stuff that you want to do there. So I'm just sort of like, a lot of features have kind of emerged over time, and I've just been having a bit of a rethink about how that's all organized. So that's now actually available to you if you want to be a beta tester. There's a few things that the other thing, and we've also got thumbnails in the sidebar down here, so you can see all your cards down here along the side, and you can actually sort of like make that a bit bigger, a bit smaller. So, and this is, you'll be able to drag and drop and do stuff in the sidebar as well as sort of deal with the cards. Have I forgotten anything else? Thumbnail selection, selection, dot configuration. Yeah, so I think that's everything. So yeah, if you want to be on the beta, just drop me an email or find me on Discord, and I'll get you involved. So that is the beta. But let me see if I can do this subject. Okay, so I will address this. So Jeff says probably the most universally understood system method is a small row of format buttons for style bullets like Gmail and most apps. Yes, but that if I am explicit about the formatting, it reduces my ability to implement design systems. And my goal here is to be able to have the same content fuel video that's horizontal or video that's vertical, for example. And this is just a programming principle. We separate our content from our presentation. Once you start being able to set this font is like Arial and this is whatever and this is 66 point, we are now like combining the content with the presentation in a way that means that there's no flexibility with like presenting it in different ways, which I think is going to be a really powerful thing, to be able to sort of like do a run through with the same deck as a vertical video and as a horizontal video. So that is, and just for various other reasons that are deeper in my soul, the reason that I'm not just going for like sort of that kind of thing is that I think it's janky. I think it's I want to kind of separate the content from the presentation. This is what I'm doing here, and you can see it visually. We'll see how people get on with it. But that's the reason. There is a very, very, very strong and deeply felt reason that I am not doing that, because it would just be a different thing. But let's get to the subject at hand and see if I can kind of like look at that. Look at this noise. Can you see the noise, or is it getting compressed out? Like I need more light in here. yeah, let's get to this. I'm just going to run through a few different things that can go wrong if you try and do stuff like this. But yeah, let's get into it, and I'm sure there'll be contributions. So the risks of getting fancy. So say you've seen what I'm doing and you want a piece of this, being able to do instant screen shares, like a picture-in-picture, a bit of a side 3D. If you want to be able to do drawing, oh, I'm drawing a thing. If you want to do live titles, you know, like, oh, I want to put some text up on the screen, I want to make it big. You know, do you want to do some sparkles? Like, you've seen all this stuff. You know, maybe you want to share pictures and pictures and pictures and more pictures, and maybe a video, bullet points. You know, maybe you want to share a video. You know, there's all these things that you can do when you're working with live video, but it's not without risk. So what sorts of risk, you know, what are you exposing yourself to with something like this? Because I think it's sort of scary enough for some people just even to get on a video call. It's like, oh, is my mic muted? That you know, once we get into, oh God, how am I going to share my video? What are the things I'm going to say? Some of the things that have gone wrong. I'm going to try and sort of like say how we're mitigating it and say how to sort of like try to not let it happen. First one, like if you're muted, no one can hear you, and you're trying to frantically troubleshoot that. So this is, you know, if you're doing what I'm doing, there's one more place you could be muted. So you've got to check if you're muted on Zoom, like, or if you're muted on the stream, which I was before. It was like eCam was muted, but I wasn't muted in QCam. You got to make sure you have the right mic selected, and you got to check that like the mic has a feed on QCam. Now the nice thing in QCam is we do have a very visible like there's a head-up display that gives you like a really clear meter to show you that you're being heard, and that you're at a good volume as well, sort of around minus 23 LUFS, yeah, but it is something that you're going to have to make sure that you have visibility of. So I can see in eCam I've got the meter, and I had been dragging that up sort of towards my eye line, because eCam, it's sort of, you have to find the window and it can go missing. And again, like Zoom I always do the audio test now, just even now, I just always, there's a little thing in the microphone settings where you can just do a quick, I'll show you that. I won't, because there's people on there, but you can sort of go to the microphone settings, you can go test audio and video, and you can at least make sure you're going to be heard on Zoom. Presumably Teams has a similar thing. But yeah, that's the first thing. But a nice thing about you know, QCam and Video Pencil is if you are muted, someone's saying, I can't hear you, I can't see you, can sort of say, I'm just, you know, like, I'm just investigating this, please hold on. You know, like you can sort of put some text up on the screen, so you can still communicate even if you're muted. I know, exclamation mark. Oops, or like, I know, exclamation mark. Yeah, so you can sort of put that up on the screen and say, it's Zoom, or you can say, like, you're muted, you know, you can sort of put text up on the screen and do all that kind of thing. And that's just another way of sort of like mitigating a situation like that. And of course you can type stuff in using the dashboard. So if I sort of go into into screen share, let's yeah, like Zoom does flash that you're muted if you're muted, which is quite cool. I was just going to show you that the dash, oh, that's not going to be the right thing. I was just going to show you, if we share desktop, I was just going to show you in the dash, we do have like the ability to say, yes, I'm just, you know, I'm just investigating, you know, so you can actually type in there as well to sort of put something up on your screen. So there's lots of different ways to let people know that you're on it, and, you know, you're aware, even if they can't hear you while you figure it out. But usually it's just, you know, it's one of those things. There's a lot of ways it can go wrong. Your microphone could be unplugged. Yes, next thing, I think, out of sync audio. Now, this is something that I have I've built a mailing list off this one. So like what happens, so now like if we're doing something a bit more fancy on the video, or if I'm using a different camera that has a bit more latency on the, maybe I've got the camera and that's connected to a USB cable and that's connected to the computer, and then for some reason that like introduces a couple of 100 milliseconds of delay, that's kind of noticeable on the audio. And so something that I've put into QCam to make that. This wasn't supposed to be like, here's all the amazing ways that QCam solves these risks, but like, I mean, I guess I've been thinking about this stuff. But if you see here, we've got this little calculate my delay. So you see I've actually got a 300 millisecond delay on here. If I were to remove that, you would now see, I think I will now be out of sync. But if I want to calculate my delay, I can just do this, and that's going to pop up the delay calculator. I can find the clap. Wait, where's the clap? Yeah, we can find the clap. Oh, I think it didn't reset it, but yeah. So we can save the delay. We can find the clap. This, yeah. Hang on a sec. Where's the clap? Is it that? We're looking for where my hands came together here. Okay, and so is that the clap? Okay, and then my hands came together here. Anyway, so this is the delay calculator, which you can use to make sure your audio's in sync, built right into QCam. Even if you don't, there's also one on the website which you can use on squares.tv, but this one is just sort of built right in there, and you can save the delay directly in there as well. So that's always a fun thing to deal with, but I think we've got something for that in QCam, and that obviously isn't so likely to happen if you're just using the built-in camera and microphone, because they're sort of like synchronized at a system level. But once you have a separate microphone and camera, then these things can get in. Things can happen. Sometimes like you might end up with a situation where you're hearing yourself as you speak, because one of the things we do want to do once we start playing different audio is like monitoring in headphones. You don't want the other person to be sort of feeding back. And well, this is I can't remember if I've got a card for this, but once we start wanting to play music and play videos back through our virtual mic, now we sort of introduce issues like I now don't want to turn on sort of voice isolation and stuff, because that's going to destroy the music and destroy the video. So now I've got to have a much cleaner audio environment, and I've just got to be careful that you're not coming out of my speakers when I'm talking to you and it's getting picked up on my microphone. But as part of that, now you're monitoring yourself, and there are situations where you can end up sort of like being able to hear yourself. And if I sort of, this is what we have in QCam. I have like this speaker here coming out. Am I coming out? That's to mute it to the virtual mic. And then if I want to hear myself on a distracting delay, I can now hear myself on the distracting delay. And so that's another one, like being able to just make sure that I'm monitoring the stuff I want to hear. So if I play a video, I want to hear the audio of that in my headphones, but I don't want to hear the microphone audio in my headphones, because that's quite distracting. Because like even if it was like basically anything, we perceive anything above sort of 20 milliseconds, and that is not much. And once you start actually adding in like a 200 millisecond delay, then that's definitely, you're just not going to be able to monitor like that, and you're going to need to do it directly through your audio interface or whatever. But this is once you start getting into audio, you can probably at a pinch get away with not buying a big expensive microphone straight away. You can still do all the other visual things, but I think like the audio stuff is really like where it all kind of comes together. Being able to hear the sparkle wand is where things come to life. Another thing you can end up doing is deafening people. So like this was a different one. Like so sending people's audio back to themselves is a thing that we've had. So when I'm doing my Zoom sessions, like if I'm doing a screen share of the Zoom window and talking to someone at the same time to, I don't know, show them something, then we have the risk of them being able to hear themselves coming through. We can get into some situations, but you figure those out as you come across them. You've got to be careful you don't deafen people with like mic feedback. So if your microphone's too close to your speakers are playing sound, that's gonna cause a feedback loop, and it can be very high pitched when it's a laptop mic. And this is why I'm quite careful with whether I monitor the headphones in QCam. So if it finds, so if you select, so you've got to sort of do 2 clicks to say what your headphones are going to be. And I'm currently on this wireless earphone just because I like to be able to walk around while I'm in the build up and still hear if anyone says anything on after hours. You have to explicitly say what your preferred output is, and if it doesn't find that, it's going to mute it when the app starts up until you plug in your preferred interface, so that it's not just going to like default back to the MacBook speakers, because that could just start feeding back and like deafen you straight away. So there's some logic has gone into that headphone monitoring thinking, just to make sure that you're not going to like deafen people with feedback. Loud videos. The nice thing about QCam is we do have LUFS metering, so if you do bring a video clip in, you can just sort of look at that meter and just like pull it down visually, and you're probably going to get it to the level that you want. It's like sort of take it down to the sort of like sort of less than, like, you know, a bit lower. Or you can look at the LUFS metering if you just really want to see what that level is going to be. So you don't necessarily have to be hearing it to even know that you're doing a good job, because we've got really good audio metering. And then, you know, like loud music, again, you can sort of double check that. And when you add a video to a card, you can sort of adjust what that volume is going to be on the card so that it comes back in at the right volume. Same thing with music. Set what the level is going to be. But yeah, you just got to be careful that, because you can end up like with drastically different levels, and then that can be very distracting, because it is basically an AV production we're doing here, so we've got to be careful. And something I'm trying, you know, something like this, I haven't put a fader into QCam for how loud that sound is, because I think there's the right level of loudness that it should be, and I think once we start adding settings for that and I don't want to make that your problem. If you feel like it's the wrong volume, please get back to me. Please let me know, because I think it's about right. Sometimes, but you know, I sort of want to. I think now that we can measure, mixing is difficult. Mixing is a profession, right? But at least if we have LUFS monitoring, we can sort of like eyeball it and sort of like get a pretty decent mix if we know what those levels should be. In fact, I should probably like sort of mark on here, this is a good level for speaking, this is a good level for background music, and just actually sort of like make that a bit more explicit maybe. That could be a fun thing to do. And yeah, as touched on before, another problem that can happen with your audio is voice isolation. If you're trying to play music, but Zoom has, so in Zoom, you have to turn on original sound for musicians in settings and then also in the call, or people are just going to hear this muted, warbly, quiet thing if you try and play any music for them. So you've got to kind of, you've got to watch out for that. Neil says there's some crackles in the audio, so we are, I think I'm going to have to just do another session on this, aren't I? But I'm wondering if, John, are you seeing... Let me know on Zoom if you're hearing crackles, because if we're hearing them on YouTube but not on Zoom, then that's very useful information. So I'm hearing that it's coming through onto the thing. I have not seen any LinkedIn messages. I'm wondering if we are actually getting any. I'm just sort of like launching. Okay, so I don't see. I'm just going to put a comment in myself and just see if I can see it. No, I don't think it comes through. Okay, that's good to know. All right. Voice isolation. So yeah, just watch out for that. And on a Mac, so there's either Zoom, but there's also at the Mac level. So basically, the mic, anything that's, if you've got a sound card coming into QCam, then that's going to get picked up by. That's going to have the same audio processing applied to it as a microphone. So what I'm talking about there is up here. You've got your Mac like video and mic mode setting. You've got voice isolation, you've got standard. So you don't really want to have voice isolation on it if you can avoid it, if you want to play some audio in from another source. So if you say you've plugged your guitar into this, you're going to need to make sure that standard is selected on there. Otherwise, like, you know, they're just going to get the sort of just going to be destroyed because it's not a voice. But what we do, but if you're just playing a video, that's fine. Like that's not going to get caught. And if you do actually if you only plan on having a microphone plugged in, you can actually just use the voice isolation feature, the Apple's one, and that's going to be great. If you're in a slightly noisier, in a less controlled environment, you can actually use that. And just make sure you check the audio delay if you switch it, just to make sure that that's okay. Background noises, yeah. So watch out for laptop fans. Was a huge problem on Intel Macs, and a non-problem. It's just one of the best things about the Apple Silicon I'm finding is not having to deal with my laptop fan anymore. Because on those Macs, like if you fired up, 2 video streaming apps, your fan's going, and now that's getting picked up by the microphone, and then you've got to turn on some sort of noise reduction or do some sort of post-processing. It's actually like a real dream to not have to deal with that anymore. Stuff like traffic, this is where it gets a little bit more exclusionary. You do need if you do want to sort of have your unprocessed audio coming in, you are going to start needing sound treatment and double glazing and a quiet area. And I had a lot of building works outside my studio before we moved up to Edinburgh, and that was a pain. But yeah, so there's those sorts of noises that these are reasons, I guess, these are reasons things that might stop you being able to like add in another audio source. But I think that's like a fraction of a percent of people that are doing that, so that's not something you're probably going to face. Children, they get picked up pretty well as well. Like I've seen, I was mentoring a guy in the US on Swift development, and we would be having a video call, but he'd have like 2 kids kind of crawling on him randomly, and it sort of like seemed like a lot of work. And now I'm sort of experiencing that life for myself. So that's just things we have to sort of figure out. Not such a problem if you have voice isolation switched on, but worse if you want to like play original audio. But yeah, I think the rule is like turn it on at the Apple level and turn it off at the Zoom level. You don't need Zoom to be doing noise reduction and Apple to be doing noise reduction, which you could end up doing, and actually that's going to make your audio sound weird. Batteries. So say you've got a phone with Shoot on it, and you've gone, we're going to do an overhead camera, and I'm going to share my second camera so that you can see what's on my desk. You can see which way is this facing? It's towards me. You can see my green screen. Like, so I start doing this, and I sort of plan a thing. Maybe I've got an overhead camera to show like how I'm all set up, what I'm doing. Wait. Batteries can run out on phones. Batteries can run out on lights. Batteries can run out on your Apple Pencil, which is kind of annoying when you have to find the stupid little adapter to plug it into the thing, to plug it into the other thing. So, if you are going to be doing some of this, make sure like you can plug it into some power, or make sure that you're charged and you're ready for all that kind of thing. You can get battery powered lights. You can get battery powered, laptop. Make sure your laptop's on power. Do you know what? I wonder if the teleprompter is interfering with my camera's ability to focus. I don't know how I feel about the prompter being literally putting stress on the lens mount, but Elgato prompter is good. It's handy. Stands, that's another thing that you end up having to deal with. Case in point, I've got my situation feeling pretty good stand wise, but it hasn't always been that way. Like making sure that you've got space in the room for everything. But if I do sort of, I can show you again. I think this is a good use case, because like I am in a spare room. Sort of, this isn't a studio. So when you see it. So I've got the camera on, like clamped to the desk. I've got the mic sort of on this stand like this. So, and then I actually ended up getting like a monitor attachment and a laptop thing. So actually, like, it sort of keeps quite a lot of space. And then cable management. We've got face follow switched on, which is getting. Let me just change that. I'm just going to change face follow to not be on, because it's getting confused. Okay, right, now we can see what's going on. So I've got my cable management under here. And then I've got like the, so it's like the stands. Yeah, but this light stand is a bit of a pain. Like it's the wire barely reaches, and then the stand on the floor, you've got to be careful. And like sort of one principle to be aware of is like make sure if you've got like something with 3 legs, if it's sort of weighted that way, that's maybe from above. If you've got like 3 legs and then you've got a heavy thing, don't put the heavy thing there because it's just going to fall over. Make sure you put the heavy thing there, like mounted above that, so that like a leg is kind of like going to stop it from falling over quite so easily. Yeah, so watch out. As soon as you start putting things on stands, you end up dealing with that world. Wires as well, like Jesus. I don't think I've even made a card for wires in this session. And then, the old favourite network. I'm going to put I think it's very important that we find the icon. No, that's ugly. So obviously, like, your network is an issue. I mean, it's the same video stream that you're doing anyway, so it's not really a difference in terms of the audio and video that you're sending up. Maybe it's once you're kind of sending a video up, then maybe it's going to have a harder time compressing that than your face, and maybe it needs a bit more bandwidth to do that, and if it's not limited internally. But the other thing is, like this, my iPad is connected wirelessly. My a shoot camera might be connected. Oh no, a shoot camera might be connected wirelessly. Why does this Canon keep unfocusing? That's another one. Focus. Suddenly I've got to think about my camera focusing, which I would not have to worry if it was just like some fixed lens that's just like set to kind of have everything in focus, like these the phone and computer lenses. But yeah, like shoot is connected over your network. You might be connected wirelessly with a video pencil. Both of those can be plugged in with a cable, and it will go through the cable. So if you are in weird network conditions, if your router is in another room and it's not got a great connection, if you're in a place with lots of different people coming on and off the Wi-Fi, you may have issues. Things I've done to sort of mitigate any network latency. For instance, like, Video Pencil has the live feed coming through, so it's going, so like I've got my camera plugged into my laptop, so the camera's plugged into the laptop, then wirelessly the feed of that is going onto my iPad, and then anything I draw is being sent as a layer back to the computer. And what that means is, and then sort of combined in, and that goes to the output. What that means is, like, my video stream isn't making like a 2-way round trip via the iPad. It's just so the worst case scenario is the picture, your drawing lags a bit. Like, and I don't think that's how fast are people drawing? Like, how many frames a second are you drawing? Like, so the worst case scenario there, network wise, is your drawing lags. Bit more of an issue with the camera. If you are using shoot as your camera, just make sure your network's okay, or you are plugged in over USB. Other stuff I was just thinking about, say you want to show a YouTube video, which you can do with QCam, or if you were using OBS you could do it, but like if you're doing this kind of thing, like just watch out, like if you're going to have ads on your YouTube, that's a bit annoying. So it might be better off like downloading the video offline, so that when you kind of go to play it, it's not going to sort of like show 6 ads for freaking, I don't know what even shows ads for, Grammarly. I have YouTube Premium, so I'm just like allergic to ads, and I watch loads and loads of YouTube, so I don't see them, but like my partner has put her account on the Apple TV, and I keep seeing all these ads when she's watching YouTube videos, and I was like, oh my god, there's like 6 ads every like half hour. It's crazy. So that could interrupt her flow if you were relying on a YouTube video to sort of as part of your presentation. Lighting changes. can be a thing. So once you're kind of doing manual settings on your camera, you're really now, and you're not letting it automatically adjust. You are now at the whims of like the daylight and the lights in your room. So I've got my curtains drawn and I've got very controlled light so that I can keep the camera on a certain setting, and that this green screen setting is okay, because it's quite, even you can see it's getting a bit noisy around the edges, isn't it? I could probably tidy it up a bit. Shall we do that? Sometimes Mac menus don't come on the right screen. And it's not me, but yeah, I can sort of, if I were to come in here and start fiddling with the fiddling with the values, we're going to start to sort of see how that is affected, see if that looks any better. Yeah, I've got a bit of noise behind me, but yeah, just being able to, once we're doing this, sometimes we do want to be on manual camera settings, so we do need controlled lights, and that can be a pain. Like I was in a studio in Hammersmith and they had a skylight, and just my ability to control my lighting was completely screwed. So I really appreciate having a blackout blind, having some curtains, which I have here, and shutters. But that's not always something that you can do, but it can be a problem. And then yeah, green screen's like horrible to light. Like I've only got one big light here, and I have got a sort of token light down here to try and sort of even it out. When they're wrinkly, just forget it. I got this one that sort of like is under tension, and I think it's so much easier than trying to hang one. And I bought a steamer, so yeah, but that's a whole other story. Shoot does have a virtual green screen, which won't have any of those problems, although it hasn't got the nicest edges. I think QCam's I feel like this is just about usable, and maybe I could like tweak some settings and we could have a really nice green screen in QCam now. Another issue, notifications. Watch out for sounds dinging on your phone, things sort of appearing on your desktop. Just make sure you use do not disturb on your devices if you're going to be sort of like sharing your desktop a lot, doing a lot of things like that. Like another one I had was live titles mishaps. So just make sure, I don't know, like it's sometimes, so Apple just can sometimes put in accidental swears. So I'm not going to demonstrate that, but if you've seen it, you've seen it. And then like drawing, I was just thinking like you might just be bad at drawing and it might just look weird. So like I don't know. This is something. You sort of try and quickly draw a house and it just looks terrible. This is something I'm in a sub. I think probably in the next couple of weeks I'm going to put in the beta. Maybe I'm going to make it so you can attach like something to trace on a card in QCam, and that'll come through to Video Pencil, and then you'll just be able to like trace really neatly onto a pre-prepared drawing that your audience can't see, and have like a really perfect looking image. So I think that's gonna be really helpful. You've got to watch out. You don't want to necessarily, you want to be careful about showing the wrong thing. So if you're going to share your whole desktop, you do run the risk of like showing something behind or showing something that sort of gives something away. But the good thing that QCam lets you do is if you share like an individual app, then that will be the only thing visible, no matter what else is on your desktop. So that's a really good way to avoid kind of that happening. But I just find it easier to share my whole desktop. So that's kind of what I have my buttons set to. Yeah, worst case, you can always go to plan B. I said I was going to tell some embarrassing stories. My worst gig ever was I'd made it too complicated. I had this live visual setup, and it was going to be on a projector, and I had all my music set up on my laptop, and I had all this stuff ready, and I was on the other end of London from where I live. Come on, camera, stay in focus. What do you think it's seeing when it sort of suddenly decides it can't see my face anymore? Like, why do you think it's losing me? Hey, Tony. Yeah, you make sure you've got a plan B, because that story was bad because I just didn't have a plan B. I really didn't. I ran across like to my sister's house, which was like 20 minutes away, to try and find this adapter because I'd forgotten this adapter for my screen. Got it back. It was the wrong adapter. I threw a temper tantrum because I wanted to do this complicated thing and I just had one bit missing and it meant I couldn't do the whole thing. So it's good to have a plan B that doesn't mean you can't do anything. And sometimes that can be just, okay, I won't use the virtual audio. Sometimes that can be, okay, I'll just like, it's doing something weird. I'll switch to the normal camera for this section, but like I'm going to switch back to to my fancy setup for this. And then, if it crashes, you can sort of like, I think it's good. I've tried to make QCam start up very quickly so that you don't have to like wait for the camera to come back if it does crash or anything like that. But yeah, these are just we're kind of at 52 minutes, which is, I didn't think this was going to be a long session, but apparently it was again. Yeah, questions, thoughts, whatever. Like, see what you think. I'm seeing. The link in the email took me to another YouTube page. Oh no, did I put the wrong link in the email? Let me see what I put. Let me see what happened. What's this? Oh no, this is right. Oh, it's right. Okay, I don't know what you mean. Let me see. So I see that there was a comment on LinkedIn. Let's see what that is. Oh no, what is it? This is crackling on LinkedIn too. Okay. I see. Okay, let me just see. So Neil says, in video pencil, could there be? Let's put that up here. I wish I could see this on my teleprompter. In video pencil, could there be an additional setting when using something like eCam 2:1 output? Not sure if it could be changed on the eCam side. Could there be an additional setting when using something if you wanted like a higher resolution feed in eCam, like NDI output? Stick it. Do I limit it to? I could probably just add in like a 4K output, to be honest. I think that's just a setting. It's just your network's going to be the limiting factor on that if you're just doing it over NDI. Right, listen. I've got to make dinner. So what I'm going to jump to is, hey, guests, we are going to do guests. Please let me know if you want to come on and do some stuff. I do want to do more YouTube, more like Zoom style broadcasts. Because I think it's fun when it's not just me. So give me a shout if you want to sort of do a presentation using QCam on one of the streams about something. I was thinking like why. I think a really good template is why I like X. Do a talk on that. Why I like X. Why I like this film. Why I like this toy. Why I like this gadget. Why I like this political ideology. I don't know, maybe I don't know about that one, but why I like X. So if you've got something along those lines, doesn't have to be too long, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, you can ramble, I don't mind. Please come join the stream. I'd love to have you on. So squares.tv/discord. That's the Discord. That's people. This is me. This is everyone, and you might be able to get some help while I'm asleep. QCamPresenter.com. Oh, no. Oh, no. I was looking at the wrong script. Right, so what I'm going to show you now is from 2013. It's called Infinite London. This is a time-lapse from the GoPro when I went out for a run, and the music is a track that I released back in 2013, and it did all right. People seem to like it. So to play us out, it's me from 2013. I'm going to let the whole thing play, and then I'll see you next week. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. We'll see how it went on LinkedIn, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.
Yeah.